Hey, what's up? Dr. Pete Goldman here, founder of the Zone School of Healing. I'm super psyched to interview Hailey Jules today. I don't do a lot of interviews anymore. I mean, I get interviewed quite a bit because I like to spread the word about the Zone School of Healing, but I don't interview a lot of people very often. But if I'm interviewing someone, it must mean I'm super psyched to do it. So that's sincere. And Hailey is someone who, two things. Number one, she really helps people. Results are results. People can have, good intention and be sweet people, but, maybe for whatever reason, they just don't have the goods to deliver. And, they're cool. You might want to hang out with them. But when it comes to, we'll say the business, the business aspect, they may not deliver. But Hailey not only is a real sweet, sincere person, on top of that, she really does deliver in the business aspect of this. So, we're making this video. First of all, I'm gonna send this video to all my students in the Zone School of Healing so they can get like a real idea of what Hailey's doing and how she may be able to benefit them. And then, we're gonna send this to many other chiropractors in the world between the two of us. So, welcome, Hailey.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Your hair looks great as usual.
Oh.
Now, let me just start with this. So, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of started your chiropractic journey, maybe not your journey because you might have got adjusted before, but you started your chiropractic business journey, for lack of a better word, as a CA working in a chiropractic office. Am I correct?
Exactly. Yes. So my journey really started with seeing the great results that my mom got with chiropractic. And that's when I really learned, okay, chiropractic's not just about back pain. It can help organ problems and all kinds of health problems. Then I became obsessed with chiropractic and began to work in an office and really learn the ins and outs of chiropractic and what it's all about.
Cool. And then let me ask you this: when you work with a team, because I see online, you're like, hey, I'm going to Holland, or I'm going to Colorado, or wherever, and there's a chiropractic office, and you go into that chiropractic office and you meet with a doctor or doctors, you meet with the staff, you kind of look at the big picture, and then somehow your interaction there is making it a more efficient place, a place with a better vibration, a place that can help more people, a place that can help people more effectively, a place that can make more money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what is it that you're doing in a concrete way to make that happen? Because obviously, if someone just walked in and was just kind of like rah, not too much substance, not you, but someone with not too much substance, you can do it and kind of like rah. I mean, it just goes so far. But you're obviously, things that other people don't know because they're hiring you to tell them what those things are to be successful in some of those things that I mentioned, and probably some things I didn't even mention. So can you tell us what is your special powers that you can just walk in there and spend time with them for a day, 2, 3, or whatever you do, and really turn things around in their practice?
Absolutely. So really what I do is I help create chiropractic leaders within your team. So oftentimes I'll have doctors come to me and say, I want my team to be more confident, or I want them to care at the same level I do. They may have incredible team members, but perhaps the team members don't have the same level of chiropractic conviction and drive that the doctors do. So that's something I really help facilitate in the practice, is pull out each team member's why and purpose for being there. And then I help show them really what's possible in chiropractic. And we refine the systems and the mindset of the entire practice so that it can run incredibly smooth. And what I found is when I take these CAs and turn them into chiropractic leaders and pull out from within them their own gifts and what they're naturally good at and the reasons why they love chiropractic, and then they're using those things and those skills to motivate them and fuel them, then they're performing at their peak and they're staying sharp and continuing to work and inspire in a really powerful way. And then another thing is that I've really loved is these CAs, they take ownership of the practice. So for a lot of my practices, now the CAs are running and growing the practice. The doctor comes in, adjusts, and sees new patients, and that's it. Then he or she is out of there. And of course, yes, the doctor needs to, do their own mindset training, zone school of healing, and their journaling, whatever they do to fuel themselves up. But when you have a really powerful team, they're going to be really running the practice for you. And that's my mission, because I feel like if a doctor is spending time managing or doing business side of the business, or really anything other than chiropractic and influencing that patient in front of them, that time is taking away from patients that they could see and add value to.
Excellent answer. And it sounds very logical and accurate to me. Let me ask you this. Some chiropractors who will watch this, whoever's going to watch this might say, hey, I have certain kind of things down. Like I'm actually a very effective healer and I get great results.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. But I just wish that more people would come through the door. I wish that I, instead of adjusting X amount of people a week, I adjust X amount of people a week, or Y amount of people a week. Or instead of making this much money per month, I wish I made this much money per month, or whatever. They're really just talking about the business aspect of building their practice. Obviously, if they interact with you, it's kind of, for lack of a better word, sign up with you, you give them a lot of stuff. But just on this interview that we can, just kind of briefly summarize, can you talk about some, for lack of a better word, tips for chiropractors to just simply build their practice?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked. I love providing valuable content to your viewers. So the first thing to really look at is, what are you doing on your daily visit to build the practice? And the best types of patients that can come in as new patients are referral patients. So what are you doing on the daily visit? What are conversations like in the practice? When someone gets phenomenal results, are you congratulating them, celebrating with them, and then asking them, who do you know that also suffers from headache or kidney problems or high blood pressure, whatever it is that they're suffering or they had been suffering from. So really being proactive, and the whole team being proactive and having those conversations on the daily visit, so that you're creating a culture and an environment where people bring in their loved ones.
Awesome.
So I teach the CAs, dozens and dozens of one-liners and things they can do, even as simple as when someone gets phenomenal results, saying something like, I bet you want these results for everybody that you love, or everybody in your family. When do you want to bring your family to come in for care? So that little shift, I have doctors that have filled up their schedule with referrals, just by the team communicating better with the patients. And then, of course, tell me, Dr. Pete, do you guys, the doctors that are part of the Zone School of Healing, do they do any sort of like educational workshops, lunch and learns, dinner with the docs, in-office workshops?
It's a great question. This is kind of the answer. Many people in chiropractic are teaching many different things. Some people are teaching how to build their business. Some people are teaching how to have an all-cash practice and not take insurance.
Yes.
Some people are teaching a certain technique. What I teach is how to be a spectacular healer and get amazing results. And I'm very confident the Zone School does that better than anything in the world. I mean it. And if anyone thinks otherwise, please discuss it with me. I'd like to hear about it. I don't really teach practice management per se. I don't teach how to become an all-cash practice per se. I don't talk about like some of the things you mentioned, like the lunch, whatever, those things you mentioned, like the lunch and learn, or whatever it's called, the spinal screenings or whatever. So when someone comes to my school, I can promise them, if they really listen to what I say and do it, they will become a spectacular healer and get unparalleled results anywhere around them, unless another one of my students is anywhere near them. With that said, I don't teach anything else specifically. Of course, it bleeds over, because obviously if you're getting spectacular results, people refer and you have a huge practice. So the answer to your question is, I don't know. I don't know which of my students do that stuff or which don't, because I don't really interact with them on that level. Like if there was like a student, let's say one of my students is like, oh man, I joined the Zone School. My results are better than ever. I'm so happy. Oh, and by the way, I do spinal screenings every Thursday. Okay, great. Or let's say another student says, hey, I joined the Zone School. My results are better than ever. I'm so happy. I never do a spinal screening ever. That's fine too. So that's not really my department. But if you want to talk about any of those topics, and anyone who's watching is interested, I'm sure you could, help a few people.
Absolutely. You brought up such a great point. The thing that I love most about chiropractic, and it sounds like even more so about what you do in the zone school, is it produces results. It speaks for itself. So you have these incredible healers that are going to produce results. And that's so powerful. That's the most powerful thing. So there's really no wavering in, whether or not someone should get under care or whether or not this is right for them. It produces results. It will help them live a better quality of life. So for me, it's more a matter of, and I teach my teams, it's more a matter of how are you going to help them come into the office, take empowered action to change their life right now. We already know they're going to. We already know it's going to benefit them and produce extraordinary results in their lives. So, I'm sure you'd agree that everybody can benefit from this type of care, and everybody's life will be improved in a really incredible way. So really, I work with the team on communicating that to the community. So some of my doctors do in-office workshops, the ones that are really passionate about educating, or they'll go out into their community and do dinner with the doctor, a lunch and learn. I know Chris Zano has a great dinner with the doctor that he does and teaches. And that's such an incredible way to just get the basic message of chiropractic down, just how the nervous system works. I'm always amazed every time I meet someone when I'm traveling, we'll start talking about chiropractic, and I'm amazed at how often I hear people say, oh, I don't have any back pain, or I don't have any back problems. And to me, that's just hilarious that that's actually what people think chiropractic is. And so one of the things that I teach my teams is how to really communicate that message in a really easy way, with just showing them, if you think about it, the only way your brain can send messages to all of your vital organs is through the spinal cord. And then we go into what would happen if there were shifts. And this is the way that I've been able to help so many people get under care myself as well, and teach my CAs to do the same. I've gotten a little bit of a reputation as a Uber driver converter because I ride an Uber quite a bit when I travel. And so I always try to find a great chiropractor for my Uber drivers. So now I have these doctors contacting me like, we had another Uber driver come in that said you were in their car. What happened? So that's something that I always have a lot of fun with.
That's awesome.
Share with you a story that can help the audience with really communicating chiropractic in a really easy way. I was going to an event in Park City, Utah, and I get out off my plane at the airport. I jump into an Uber, and I have this Uber driver. His name was Cody. And Cody was a really interesting guy right away. He was telling me about all his skills and brilliance. And then by the time there was a bunch of airport traffic, so before we even pulled out, of course, he asked me, why are you in town? And I told him, well, I'm going to a chiropractic experience, because I wanted him to ask more questions. And he said, well, are you a chiropractor? I told him no, and we got into that conversation. And I said, have you ever been to a chiropractor before? And guess what? He said, no, I don't have any back pain. And I said, well, what's really interesting about chiropractic? I said, Cody, it's clear to me you're a smart guy. And if you think about it, the only way that your brain can send messages to all of your organs is through the spinal cord. So anytime there's any sort of shift or kink in the spine, it blocks nerve flow to your vital organs. And I shared with them, I got to work in an office, and we saw incredible results. We saw organ improvements, and patients got healing from heart problems, thyroid problems, and I gave him this whole list. And he had what I call the chiropractic aha moment. His face lit up, and he said, oh my gosh, so this must be really good for anybody that's like 40 to 90 years old. And so it was funny because, of course, I know better, but this wasn't about me being right. This was about me influencing him to become a chiropractic leader. So I said, that's right. This is good for anybody 40 to 80 years old. You're right, Cody. And I said, guess what else? When a baby's born, no matter how they're born, how are they pulled out, if they're a natural birth or a C-section? And he had his second chiropractic aha moment. He went, and he said, from their head. And I said, yes. And that's when we get those very first shifts and misalignments in our spine. And so, of course, I asked him, do you have kids? And he said, yes. And I said, when you see your kids, next time you look at your kids, you may notice some things in their posture. Their posture is really a window to their spine and nervous system. And you may notice that one shoulder might be lower than the other, or perhaps one foot flares out. Maybe their head rests with a slight rotation. All of these things can be signs of blocked nerve flow to their organs. So, of course, he asked me for a chiropractor for his kids. And then he said something really funny. He said, well, I used to work for insurance companies. If they knew about this, they could save so much money. And again, I know better, but I said, I like the way you think, Cody. And then he drops me off at my hotel. And this other couple jumps in his Uber, and they said they had dinner reservations and they were scurrying to get downtown. I get to the front desk, I check in, I realize I left my phone in Cody's Uber. So I call my phone. Thank goodness we had rapport.
Did you panic or you stayed calm?
I stayed pretty calm.
Really? Okay.
He's a nice guy, and thank goodness we had great rapport. So I called him and I said, hey, can I come get my phone? And he said, don't worry about it. I'll bring it back to you. This couple, they've got dinner reservations, so I'm going to drop them off. And then I'll come back in about 20 minutes. So I'm sitting in front of the hotel. They had these big windows, and I'm looking out. No more than 3 minutes later, Cody's Uber comes barreling around the corner, full speed ahead. And I run outside and I look in the car, and the couple's still in the back seat. And they lean forward, and I said, I thought you guys had dinner reservations. And they looked at me and they said, well, we did, but we had to figure out where to get one of these chiropractors. And so I love that story, and I like to share that story because really, when I got into Cody's Uber, I wasn't trying to make him a patient or convert him. I think a lot of times in those types of practice management groups, we can get really obsessed with converting and growing the practice. My mission with Cody was to create a chiropractic leader within him. So when we create chiropractic leaders, it has this ripple effect, and it's contagious. And then they're talking chiropractic, they're creating leaders, and not only growing your practice, but growing chiropractic as well.
There's what you're really explaining, whether you're aware of it or not, is vibration. Because, and I'll elaborate on this. Your vibration was very sincere. Your vibration was very enthused. Your vibration was very knowing. And he picked up on that vibration. It wasn't the words that you said, it was the vibration. And then you transfer that vibration into him, and then that vibration oozed right out of him to those people. So there was actually a guy, his name was Hermes. They called him Hermes Trismegismus. You know him? You ever heard of him?
No, I haven't.
Hermes Trismegismus, he lived, I think, about 2,500 years ago. And Trismegismus means 3 times great. Hermes Trismegismus. So Hermes 3 times great. It's a pretty good nickname. And he taught many things. If you walk into like a metaphysical bookstore and like, hey, do you have the Hermetic principles or the Hermetic books? Like, they have a lot of stuff. But there's a book. Anyway, one of the things Hermes did was he explained what he called the 7 laws of the universe. So the main law of the universe is that what he said, he said God is or energy is. You can say what you want, but I'm just kind of paraphrasing. So all there is energy, or all there is God, depending if you want to look at it from the scientific or the theological perspective. It doesn't matter. But all there is this all-present power. Call it energy, call it God. That's all there is. That's the overarching principle. And then under the umbrella of that overarching principle are 7 principles. They're called the 7 Hermetic principles. I'm not going to name them all, but just to give you a few, like he has what's called the law of cause and effect, the law of polarity, the law of vibration, he calls it the law of perpetual transmutation of radiant energy, the law of relativity, and that's not Einstein's law of relativity, it's different, et cetera, et cetera. There's a couple others. Law of gender, it's really powerful stuff. But anyway, we'll talk about this some other time. But the point is, one of them is the law of vibration. And law of vibration is basically when you meet someone, you're not really hearing the words that they say. I mean, you hear them to a degree, but you feel their vibration. And when it comes to CAs, like my CAs, I don't even counsel my CAs of what to do or say, but they know what they know because they're around me. So patients call up, hey, listen, I'm really suffering, and they start telling them they have like a liver disorder. They took a blood test. Their liver is not functioning well. They're very nervous. They heard about Dr. Pete, but whatever. And my CAs are like, hey, just come in ASAP. Let's get you on the schedule. Dr. Pete will take care of it. You'll be fine. Now, it's not even technical. I mean, they didn't mention the brain and the spinal cord and the nerves, but that vibe is very powerful.
Yes.
And that vibration, they're already so the CA is that on the phone or in person, that first vibration. And my CAs are so freaking enthused to be there. I don't have to tell them. I don't tell them anything. I don't train my CAs. It's aside from a couple of technical things, is how we run the business. But their vibe is so freaking strong and powerful that the healing is already happening either on the phone or in person or in the waiting room. And when the person checks out. So I already understand that just from years of doing this. And of course, because a lot of people don't understand that, but you do understand that, and you know the X's and the O's, the ins and outs of how to train people to do that. And then I'm sure one of the reasons they're being so successful, Hailey, is because when you leave after your 2 or 3 days or whatever you spend there, I'm sure the vibration, that's the word I'm using, is so high in the office that everything gets better. The patient results get better. The referrals get better. The care plan compliance gets better, et cetera, because they feel that vibe. In fact, I had a patient come in the other day. I think he was there for like his 4th visit. I don't remember. But he said to me, because, my waiting room was packed with people and everyone's having a good time and it's like a party out there. And he came in the room, one of the rooms to get adjusted. And I walked in. He's like, I'm just curious, Peter, he actually said this. He goes, are you doing something special with your staff or the waiting room? He's like, I've been to a few chiropractors' offices. I've never seen anything like this. It's like a freaking party out there. No, I said, I don't do anything special. We just get spectacular results here, and everything falls from that. So I just wanted to, and you can feel free to elaborate on that, but I just want to ask you, when people want Hailey's interaction or services or expertise, I know sometimes you're like, oh, I'm going to fly out to your practice and but can they also meet with you virtually? Like, in other words, let's say someone is in like Maine and you're in California, and for whatever reason, you're not going to fly out to Maine. Is there like phone calls, video calls? Like, do you have some kind of program where you can help them virtually? Or is all your work you saying, no, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to spend a few days in your practice?
I absolutely do help them virtually. So I believe that the immersion experience is the most powerful thing someone can do when we're immersed in it. And it's because of exactly what you're talking about, that vibration. You're actually, when they're immersed in it and immersed in that culture, it raises the vibration of the team. That way it's not just this one-time thing. They then are vibrating higher and continuing to grow on their own once I'm gone. Doing the live, I think, is so powerful. Like you talked about in communication, how not very much of it has to do with what we're saying verbally. And, in NLP, we learned 7% of all communication is verbal. The rest is essentially vibration, body language, tonality, and that vibration. So to be able to meet on video like you and I are doing right now is so powerful. So that's what I do with my teams. I don't do any phone calls. I mean, if they have a quick question, but for the most part, we do all our meetings over video for coaching calls, follow-up coaching calls, pre and post event as well. So what I can do is I can actually post a link in the bottom for any of your doctors that do want to meet with me over video and see if there's a way that I can help them, doctors and teams. I save a couple spots each week for people that want to hear more. So I'll add that in our comments here.
Let me just ask you, Hailey, just to be clear. So any doctor who's watching this, who wants to interact with you in any way, shape, or form, possibly by video, possibly by inviting you to their practice, whatever you guys end up deciding, that's, whatever. The link you're posting is the first step for them to connect with you. And then once they connect with you, you guys can decide what's the most appropriate interaction. Am I correct?
Exactly.
Good.
Absolutely. And, if it's not to work with me, I'll refer to someone that would be a really great fit. You brought up such an interesting point that I think is so important to touch on as well. When you talked about your team and how they're just so excited about the results that you're producing, that they're vibrating at this higher level. it's so important for all the CAs that are watching this and the doctors to encourage your CAs for them to know that they are healers too. And they are part of this healing experience. I think a lot of times there's separation. I have here actually on my board behind my desk, I have all kinds of quotes and incantations. And one of my favorite ones, something that I say to myself constantly over and over again, is that the purpose of my existence is to bring healing. And I really believe that that is such a powerful part of the human experience, is to bring healing. And for your CAs to know that the purpose of their existence and the purpose of their role there is to bring healing is so powerful, because oftentimes when someone walks in, it's going to be, you know, their smile or their touch or their influence that's going to initiate the healing process for that person, even over the phone. You know, before they even come in, your team members are bringing healing as well. And it's so important for them to really step into that power and know the truth about what they're doing.
I like that. Okay, so let's do this. So here's the deal. This video, like I mentioned, is going to be seen by everyone. You know, I'm going to offer it for everyone in my school to see, and then now they know how to get in touch with you, right? And then obviously you'll post this in various places. So I'm just going to say real quick for your people.
Yes.
Again, I did create a school called the Zone School of Healing. What I teach is how to get spectacular results. So a lot of chiropractors, you know, they're very sincere. So they say things like, you know, I'm a nervous system doctor, or they talk about above, down, inside out. They talk about subluxation. It's all beautiful stuff, you know, or the nervous system controls every cell in the body. It's beautiful. I love it. And, you know, there are some doctors out there who, like Hailey said, are helping people with all kinds of stuff way beyond neck and back pain. And that's fantastic. But with that said, you know, things aren't perfect. We want to make things better. So, you know, there are many, many well-intentioned chiropractors who really have a very nice philosophy. But unfortunately, when they go to their office, every single person on the entrance form is writing neck and back pain. I mean, that's just what, I mean, no, eventually they might talk to them about wellness and stuff like that. But I could just say in my office, 80% of my patients are writing on the entrance form something that's not neck and back pain. They want to come for their liver, their pancreas, their gallbladder, their thyroid, their uterus, their ovaries, their immune system, whatever, circulation, etc. And they've tried before, you know, a lot of stuff, medical doctors, acupuncturists, many times other chiropractors, and are still ill, and they come and heal. So I teach you guys how to do that. And even though I don't want to dismiss the musculoskeletal, I have people flying into me from all over the world, and a lot of them fly in for musculoskeletal stuff where they have like a disc problem in their neck and they have an MRI of their neck, and every MD who sees their MRI says, you need neck surgery. You need neck surgery. There's nothing even to talk about. And a lot of the people are like, well, you know, I just don't want to get neck surgery, so let me go to a couple chiropractors. And they'll show the MRI results to the chiropractors, and the chiropractors say, I'm not even going to touch your neck. I can't touch your neck. They come to me. I'm all over their neck, and their neck is fine, and they're playing sports a month and a half later. So I will teach you guys how to do that. Look, I mean, I know we all want to stay positive and be optimistic and look for the good, and I'm all for that. But we have to also be realistic. A lot of chiropractors need help, and I can help you. If you want to learn how to get spectacular results with non-musculoskeletal stuff, and if you want to learn how to get even better results with musculoskeletal stuff, and I'm going to say this, a lot of the people in my school say to me this, I'm just telling you, Hailey, straight up. They're like, hey, Dr. Pete, I was a high-level functional medicine doctor. I was a high-level chiropractic neurologist. I was a high-level AK doctor or SOT or upper cervical doctor, and I got pretty good results. Now I'm in your school. I spend 1/10 of the time with a patient, and I get 50 times better results. I hear that all the time. I hear that every freaking day.
Wow.
I also have many people in my school who said, hey, Dr. Pete, you know, after 20 years, I was ready to hang it up. I was just so frustrated with everything. And now I can't wait to go to work. I want to practice 30 more years. Or I have some people, and a couple of people are even in my head as I say this, who are like, hey, Dr. Pete, before I met you, I had a successful practice. I had a successful practice. I helped a lot of people. I made a lot of money, a lot of people. And now my practice is 100 times better. I do way, way more than neck and back pain, much more effectively. I love being at work. I've doubled my practice, whatever, even though I was successful already. So if you are a chiropractor, I will help you. There's very few chiropractors on this planet that I cannot help, but most likely I can. So Hailey, if you don't mind, will also post in this thing a couple links. One link will just be to join the school, and she'll post a link. You could just join Zone School. Right now, the school, we have a sale price of $9.97. If you go to my website, zonetechnique.com, that's my school's website, zonetechnique.com, the price of the course is $24.97. We have a sale price of $9.97. Hailey's link will go to the $9.97 for about a week. I think in about a week, we're raising the price to $14.97, the sale price. We're raising the sale price to $14.97. That's $500. So I think for about a week, if you click Hailey's link, you can get it for $9.97. And then she'll post another link, which is if you're like, oh, it's interesting, but I'm not quite sure. And that's like a free course. So it like gives you access to a couple videos, like a free course. And then at the end, you'll have the option again to join the school. And I think if you get through the free course in 2-3 days, if it's all done before about a week or so, it'll still be $9.97. So anyone who's curious about that, I can help you. Hey, listen, I'm confident in my results with a capital C, and you don't ask me, ask my students. So
that's fantastic. Dr. Pete, I know the way that I met you was through your students just being so excited about the results that they had produced in their practice through you. I had so many people reach out to me and say, you've got to meet Dr. Pete. He's helped us really produce incredible results. And I personally feel like just talking to you and getting to know you better, seeing your confidence in the care that you provide for your patients, I think that is absolutely priceless. And for, docs out there to be able to have the opportunity to really increase your confidence in the care you provide, for me, I think that is absolutely worth it more than anything else, and how to lead your team really in increasing their confidence and their knowing in the amazing results that you provide. So
hey, Hailey, I just
a huge inspiration.
My pleasure. I just want to say one thing, and I can say this really sincerely. So I want to look in my eyes, everyone. This is real. Okay. When someone comes to me and they say to me, on the first visit, I sit down, hey, what brings you to my office? And they start telling me, they could tell me they've had migraine headaches for 10 years, 7 days a week, and nothing has worked. Or they could tell me that they're trying to get pregnant and the doctor said, oh, it would be a miracle for you to get pregnant, based on the situation, whatever. Or they have a liver disorder, or they have they have a disc problem in their spine and they were told they need neck or back surgery by someone. Even when they're sitting in front of me and they're telling me, hey, listen, this is my, I've been to 2 acupuncturists, 3 chiropractors, 2 medical doctors, 1 homeopath, a naturopath, an energy worker, a Reiki master, and they tell me they're still sick. I mean, literally, Hailey, I'm not interrupting them. I'm letting them talk. But already in my head, I'm like, give me 5 weeks, you'll be 100% better. It's such a great feeling to know what I know, and I'm happy to teach everyone out there what I know. And it doesn't bother you or disturb you that they've been to 3 other chiropractors, 2 medical doctors, 5 acupuncturists, and they're still completely not better. Because if you know what I know, which I can teach you, you'll get them better. And it's a great, great feeling. It's just a pleasure to go to work. So I can tell you that very sincerely.
That's fantastic. What you're describing truly is the truth about chiropractic and the real power that it can be and provide for people. That's why I do what I do, is to help bring people this better quality of life. When I first found chiropractic, I felt like I had found the fountain of youth, and everybody deserves this. Everybody deserves this freedom. So the more people that are out there and know how to provide that level of care, the better. So I thank you so much for your service and what you're doing.
Thank you, Hailey. Thanks for being on. We'll blast this out to as many DCs as we can. And, the idea would be that we both help a lot of people. So I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody.